Tonight at 9, man sets family home on fire. The shocking details in Maryland while children were sleeping inside. Got a report from the scene as fire officials investigate. Early morning escape, another house fire overnight, this time in Northwest Washington. What officials credit to avoiding potential tragedy. And a car crashed into an apartment building in Maryland. What we discovered on scene as authorities look into the driver's condition before the crash.
The start of the weekend has been absolutely spectacular. We'll continue into Sunday. Stick around for my answer coming up.
And finding you savings from back to school essentials to your next special deal when dining out. We're stretching your dollar.
You're watching the station covering all of the DMV. This is DC News Now.
Good Saturday evening. Thank you for joining us for DC News Now at 9 o'clock. I'm Ben Dennis. Begin tonight in the district. 2 people woken up in the middle of the night and discovered a house fire in Northwest. Inside their home, crews rushed to 44th Street in Tenleytown around 3:30 a.m. Flames coming from the porch and front rooms of the house. A power line was also down in front. Look at the extent of those intense flames. Fire extended to the home's second floor into the attic. Officials say the 2 people escaped uninjured and were woken up thanks to a smoke alarm that went off. The cause, that's still under a microscope. Meantime, a Maryland man is in jail. He's accused of setting his home on fire while his family slept. Fortunately, great news here, nobody was hurt. Our Dave LaValle is following this story and learns more from Charles County.
49-year-old Omar Harrison remains here in the Charles County Detention Center, charged with several crimes, including the attempted murder of his family. No one at Harrison's home in Waldorf wanted to discuss what happened, but here's what Maryland fire marshals have to say regarding the incident along Utah Forest Drive. Investigators said Harrison's wife woke up around 5 a.m. Friday and saw Harrison pour gasoline on her bed. He then poured more gasoline down the stairs and ignited bed sheets. His wife and their 2 children escaped. The fire is said to have caused about $500 in damages. Charles County deputies responded to the home earlier in the night following a domestic dispute between Harrison and his wife. Harrison is said to have escaped after the fire and threatened to burn down the home, but deputies arrested him during a traffic stop. Harrison is charged with several counts, including attempted murder and first-degree arson. As we said, Harrison remains held here awaiting a bail hearing. In La Plata, Maryland, Dave LaValle, DC News Now.
Our thanks to Dave. All right, a traffic alert for you right now. A live look I-66 westbound in Fairfax County near mile marker 55.6 by the Fair Lakes Shopping Center. Well, you can expect delays. There was a reported vehicle crash and fire that happened earlier this evening. Significant slowdowns in that neck of the woods. Be cautious if you are headed in that direction. All right, 9:03, meteorologist Scott Sumner standing by. Look at the forecast. Wave your magic wand, will you, Mr. Wizard, and sprinkle a little pixie dust on possibly another beautiful day tomorrow? Yes?
I don't have a wand, but I have a garage door clicker. How about that? Just
that'll work. How about it?
Abracadabra, absolutely. Yes, indeed. All right, as far as our conditions are outside, we are mostly cloudy, but those clouds will be breaking up here. Currently, we're seeing 75 degrees, but the big headline here, folks, as you well know, but just verifying here is the fact that humidity is much lower across the board here. Now, speaking of lows, we'll see low temperatures down into the middle 60s here. Tonight's will be very, very pleasant. We're not looking at upper 70s or even 80-degree readings like we had earlier this past week. But we will get up into the 80s here during the afternoon with low humidity. That will be very, very comfortable for us here. So the back half of the weekend is looking just as nice as the front half, with maybe a little bit more added sunshine into the mix. Right now we still have, like I said, some clouds over the area, or soon to be clouds across parts of the viewing area. But again, no rain expected. And tracking the temperatures this week, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, the right number is what it should be on average per day. So right now we're looking in DC at a high average of 89 degrees here the next 3 days. Well, we're going to be below that mark the next 3 days on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. So things are looking okay in the temperature department. But we'll talk the full 7-day forecast and let you know when rain is coming back into play. Back to you, Ben.
All right, thanks, Scott. Got some new details after a 13-year-old boy was swept into a storm drain and killed during flash floods 2 days ago. He's now been identified. Mason Paul Kearns of Mount Airy was swept away by those heavy rains Thursday. Tomorrow there will be a candlelight vigil to honor his young life. Well, after the news of the tragedy came to light, our Randy Bass spoke with heartbroken neighbors, understandably so, in Mount Airy, as local school officials share their own message to the community.
Yes, rapidly rising floodwaters here behind the Watersville apartment complex in Mount Airy. Those floodwaters sending a 13-year-old boy into this drainage pipe here behind that complex, where first responders say they worked tirelessly to get him out, but it was already too late. Flowers now sit on top of that drainage pipe where the 13-year-old, a recent student at nearby Mount Airy Middle School, was trapped in floodwater and couldn't get out. Weather reports say Mount Airy got between 4 and 5 inches of rain. Neighbors we talked to still rattled the morning after tragedy struck.
This kind of thing is going to be shocking no matter where it takes place, but when it's right around the corner from where you live, it's doubly shocking.
Mount Airy police and fire crews, along with the Carroll County Sheriff's Office, all responding to Watersville Drive just before 5:30 p.m. in very heavy rain Thursday. Police saying it went from a rescue operation to a recovery. Now the community is sorting through fresh, heavy emotions.
It's really traumatic. You know, it's going to take a long time probably to sort it all out. Personally, when we were walking down here, it's like I could feel the sadness, and then when we came back up again, I'm feeling a lot right now.
The principal at Mount Airy Middle School sharing this message Friday, saying in part, "I am writing with sadness to inform you that a recently enrolled student at Mount Airy Middle passed away yesterday in an accident related to the heavy storms in our community. Our thoughts and sympathies are with his family and friends."
Unimaginable stuff, Randy. Thanks. This week, meantime, 6 people, including 2 kids, were rescued after their cars were stuck in dangerous flooding in Potomac. It happened on Bradley Road near Cabot John Creek. Check this out. Fire crews say they originally came there for just one car stuck, but they found another one completely submerged. An 8-year-old standing on the roof of that car, while a woman and a 2-year-old were trapped inside. They managed to rescue everyone.
I'm always surprised they come very fast. I don't know who made the call.
For the rescue that happened, they were, really responsive, and they took care of it, quickly.
And eyewitnesses also said that flooding have been progressively worse as of late, and since one of them had said they moved there just 3 years ago. Well, new tonight, police are looking into 2 separate shootings that took place in Southeast D.C. overnight. Here's the first one. It happened around 1:20 on Elvins Road. A woman was shot, taken to the hospital. Less than 20 minutes later, police responded to R Street near Minnesota Avenue in Anacostia, where they found a man who was shot. Now, despite the close timeline here in both shootings, police say there's no evidence right now to suggest they're connected. Officials in Maryland say a woman crashed her car into an apartment building in Bowie yesterday. Police say around 7:30 p.m. a woman was driving an SUV when, for some unknown reason, she crashed into the Governor's Green apartment building. It's on Governor Bridge Road. The woman was rescued from her car, treated for her injuries on scene. Crews say they are also investigating any structural damage to that building. Time is 9:08. We have learned that an inmate has died in the Fairfax County Jail, and just a few hours after he was arrested. Police say Omar McNassi was booked Wednesday night and died the next day. He was found unresponsive in his cell. Fairfax police say no foul play is suspected. Developing now, crucial revelations learned in the past few days during hearings to learn what happened before January's mid-air collision over the Potomac that killed 67 people. While the final report from the NTSB isn't expected to come out until next year, we've got some new information on what appears to have gone wrong. This is also new video showing the moment just before that crash over the cold Potomac River that night, involving that Army helicopter. Well, experts say the pilots would have had trouble seeing the American Airlines plane because of their night vision goggles, which can distort light. That is something that we reported as a possibility back in February. Our Max Marcilla shares what we learned over the course of more than 24 hours of recent testimony.
Reaching the end of a very lengthy and very in-depth set of hearings over the last 3 days about the deadly mid-air collision near Reagan National Airport. It was really emotional for the families who lost loved ones in the tragedy. It was also really eye-opening for the public who saw just how many red flags there were in the aviation industry leading up to the crash.
There are a lot of things that can be done differently. I don't think this accident occurred that night. I think it happened years before.
That finding not a surprise for Sherry Lilly.
We've learned some pretty distressing things about just broken safety culture.
She's here to advocate for aviation safety and remember her 28-year-old stepson, Sam, who was a co-pilot of the American Airlines plane.
He was so playful, but when he decided to become an aviator, he became so serious about that.
Friday's hearing led to admissions that the pilots of the Black Hawk helicopter would have had a hard time spotting the American Airlines plane because of night vision goggles. That following 2 days of revelations about all that went wrong on the night of January 29th.
We are all very uncomfortable when those two units are operating.
We heard concerns about the crowded airspace around the airport between planes and military helicopters. Attempts to change that years ago never materialized.
Why did it take 67 lives to be lost and families who are just destroyed forever to understand what was occurring?
Also discussed misleading altitude reading instruments for the Army helicopter, which was flying above the limit, trouble with the dispatch audio inside the helicopter, and an overwhelmed traffic controller, a member of an understaffed tower.
The administrative staff was my biggest concern.
In Southwest Washington, Max Marcilla, DC News Now.
You can read more about the Fed's findings on the deadly mid-air collision at DCNewsNow.com, as well as years of complaints that I found back in February where pilots cited problems seeing with night vision goggles, and the FAA admitting 4 years ago that they were aware of visibility issues and trying to solve them. On the move today, parts of the Green Line closed as crews start their summer maintenance work. WMATA says there will be no service between the Branch Avenue and Southern Avenue stations. Free shuttle buses will replace those stops. There will be more closures, we're told, later this month. WMATA says construction will be finished by the end of August. Coming up, the tax-free holidays happening in the DMV, helping you stretch your dollar with a full breakdown of what you may want to put on your list. And yes, for back to school. Time is 9:12. Live look at the Air Force Memorial, Arlington County, Virginia. We've got you covered, as well as folks in PG, Moco, Frederick County, all over the DMV. We'll be right back.